Trying to find my live. Okay. And it's probably a few minutes behind on my tablet. I'm hoping that, let's see. I always get this very mixed up. It's been a while since I've been live, and Facebook has changed the format since the last one, of course. Let's see if we can get this straight. All right. Hello, hello, it's Tammy with art by Tammy Lassiter. Hope everyone is doing well today. I hope that you are able to see things well. It looks like you are, by the way my screen looks. So, I used to be able to do this landscape, but I'm not able to do that anymore for some reason. It wants me to go straight up and down. So I'm just getting ready. As you hop on, say hello. Let me know who's here. I can see that I have one person. So I thought that I would do a watercolor piece tonight, and I've just pulled out several brushes, and I have my Mop 0, and this I'm planning on doing a very loose floral tonight, and so I've got my mop, and I just wanted a variety of different, I have my dagger. I believe this is a 1/4, excuse me. I have my black silver number 4 and number 6, and these would be my primary ones, and then I have my Princeton 6, and just a cheap Master's Touch 6 that I like because it holds a nice point, and it's a little bit larger than the Princeton. So I'm glad that you're here with me tonight, and I thought that it would be kind of fun to do something quick and Valentine-y. If you've never used watercolor, it's a lot of fun. You can get into it with relatively little amount of money and investment, and it's just fun and easy to do. So without further ado, we're just going to go ahead and jump right in. I would appreciate if you would jump on and tell me where you're from, say hello, and I'm going to draw a heart, and I'm going to try to do this as lightly as possible, because once the watercolor is on it, it will be, your pencil line will be there forever. And so if your pencil line shows I'm just kind of sketching this in, then it'll be there forever, and you can't fix it. It's not the end of the world, but when you're first learning, this might be something you're just not aware of. All right, so now I'm just going to I have an eraser around here somewhere. So I've got my watercolor paints over to my left. I have gone ahead and primed them. They're ready to go. I have my water here in front of me. I've got some P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof White, just in case I need it. And a little spray mister if I need that as well. And my tablet is hung up on me. Hopefully that will come back up again. So I'm going to start with I think I'll start with my number 6. And if I need to, I'll back down to my number 4. And I'll go ahead and get that wet. Usually I tape my paper down so that I can have a nice little border, but for tonight I'm just going to leave it loose so that I can turn it if I need to. So I thought that what I would do is try and do some peonies and some very loose peonies and some roses. A very light peony. And I'm going to push that color down toward the center of the flower. And with each petal, I'm just going to touch the tip of my brush in the water. I forgot to tell you that I'm on Bees paper. So 100% cotton paper, and it's 140-pound weight, which is the minimum of what you want for watercolor. Anything other than 140 pound really isn't going to stand up to the water. So just using some If you're hopping on, please say hello. My for some reason my screen wants to hang up. I don't know why it does that when I get on my lap. I don't know if it's my internet connection or go to our rose. I wish I could see my screen. It's wild. It's in all kinds of very interesting colors. All right. I'm going to try to mix some of my yellow ochre with my cadmium red and see if I can't get more of peachy color. Let's see what we can get here. You want to leave plenty of white space to differentiate your petals. That's a pretty peachy color. So I'm just going to get All right, I'm going to try a little bit of purples here. Let's see what I can start here. Now I'm just going to get some pure purple and put it around the center, what would be the darkest. All right, it's a little bit more vivid than I had hoped for, or darker, I guess I should say, than I had hoped. So I like for mine to be a little more subdued. All right, so we got some purple. Let's see if we can get a little bit of yellow. I still got some purple in my brush, so I'm making mud over here. Let's see if I can get that up. I think I'm going to do another peony in this direction, just a little small one. And then I'm going to use some of my peachy color in that center area to kind of help bleed up. Okay. Let's see if I can get you a little bit closer there. So these are very loose. And I think I'll do another yellow one over on this side for balance. And you need to turn them in different directions. And so This is why I'm turning my page. Go ahead and see if I can get a pretty light one done here. Don't want to touch that purple because this is a complementary color. It's opposite on the color wheel. If you touch that purple, what could happen is that you could get a very muddy brown color. So you want to be careful. Try to avoid that. And then just go ahead and feather up another color. All right. All right, so I'll try to get another purple one. I'm going to just add some water over here to my purple and try to get a very light wash. So we're just making like commas. You're going to make a comma that way and one this way. And then with each stroke, you're going to touch the one beside it, and then just, I have too much water on my brush. Do you see how that's puddling right there? Just dry your brush off and tap along that puddle of water, and it'll lift right up. Just touch the petals next to it. And you want to go lighter as you go out, so it's darker towards the center. And just broader and lighter as you go out. So I'm going to pick up some purple, and I'm going to tap that center, make that darker. I'm going to get some more concentrated purple here. Let that start off being so watery. There we go. Perfect. Don't forget your white space. Your white space is what makes it look loose and makes it look like the highlights of your floral. And so you want to make sure that you leave that. And it does take some practice. Hello, Sadie and Morgan and Mary. All right, so I'm going to, because this one got a little darker, I'm going to take and lift that up. I've wet my brush. And I'm going to pull some of this color up. And it's all about going back and forth between your brush and the color, with water and color. This one just became a little bit of mush. So if you make a mistake, just go back in, dab. And some colors in watercolor are staining colors, and so they're harder to get up. Just go in with a wet brush and re-wet it. And you can lift the majority of it up. Now I'm going to try that one again. Let's see, I think I'll go in with a smaller brush to start with. This is a number 2, and it will help me to get started on that centerpiece. So I'm going to make my commas, and then a comma here, and then I'm going to take and expand, touching that the top of the comma. I'm going to try to expand and flatten my brush, touching this each petal that you do with the one that you join to it. I hope that makes sense. And now I can get up to a little bit of a larger brush. Let's see what size this one is. This is a 2 as well. Go back to my, I thought I had my 4 out somewhere. Oh, here it is. Right there. Now I need to re-wet that. There we go. And if you catch it before it's completely dry, then you can soften the edges. So, leaving some white space, I'm going to just go around and leaving some white space in between and creating my rose, my very loose rose. Okay, I can go back in if I'd like and just add a little bit of darker areas to define more of the inner aspect of the flower. And just to soften that out. Okay, and there's that. Aw, that's sweet. She's a sweetheart. Tell her she's the best granddaughter. Of course, I have 3. I have 3 good, very good granddaughters. They're all the best. I love them all. All right, I'm going to go in with my, I can't think of it, something rose here. It's more of a deeper pink. And I'm going to try to, I don't have a ton of room. I think I'll do one here. Just a bud, maybe. All right, I'm going to try to keep this light because the rest of it's light. So I'm going to go back and pull some of this up. And then just use what I have on my paper here to finish creating. Okay. All right, let's put one over here. Watercolors, student grade watercolors aren't expensive, guys. Give it a try. It's a lot. They're a lot of fun. It's a very relaxing way to begin painting. I started with acrylics, and I had a harder time with watercolor because I started with acrylics first, and I actually learned more about color theory from watercolors than I could actually, what's the word I want, comprehend with. It was like I knew it, but harder to apply for me in other mediums. And so it's almost like things just really clicked for me with watercolor and with color theory and such. And so don't be afraid to give it a try. It's like I said earlier, it really doesn't cost a huge investment of you know, to begin, and that's a great thing. You have a lot of options. And I'm going to come down with another petal right here, just one of those loose petals here. All right next to the other one. And I'm going to tap in darker areas here. Awesome. Okay. And then I think I'll do one more. I think this one's dry. It is. All right, one more. I'm doing for my roses, and I'm different for peonies, but for roses, you just want to do a comma this way, a comma that way, expand, expand, leaving some white space, let that color skip. All right, then as you move outwards, you want to just lighten the color. Very light and delicate. Okay, and I'm just going to go in with a little bit more color and tap, tap, tap. There we are. Okay. Let's start on some leaves, and then if we need to, we can fill in with some fillers. Actually, let me do one more little purple one over here, just for balance. And let's see. Do it this way. Have a little bit of extra room that way. Okay. Now just go back with some of the darker and add it to the center. And we're tapping, just letting the water on your paper do the work for you. And if you need to, you can go back and add some water to soften those lines. If you're just joining, tell me who's here, where you're from. I'd love for you to share. Am I supposed to say that word? No. We're just doing a watercolor floral, just something in a heart shape. And so there we have that rose. I'm going to go back and add a little bit more dark on this one. And then we're going to add some now I went back and I wet that whole petal, because if you don't, it's going to leave a hard line, and you can wet it first, or you can wet it, you can lay your line and then wet it. So I'll show you the difference here. I'll wet it now, and then I'll go back and add, and then just tap that on the inner, and you'll see that it spreads. And that's the fun part of watercolor, is just the magic that it does. That's what I love about it. Sometimes it's unpredictable and you don't really know. And so see here, I didn't wet that first, and so there's a hard line. So I'm just going to go in and wet right next to it and let it soften. All right, now I think we're going to add some greenery now. And let me get my little spray bottle. I sure hope that y'all have a decent view of this, because my tablet's kind of going a little bit crazy. All right, I'm going to get my number 2 here and wet it. And I'm just going to draw out a little bit of I'm going to put some water down on my paper first, and then I'm just going to add my green on this particular one, just to show you. Okay, and then I'm just going to add a darker green as I get closer to the flower. A cooler green, I guess I should say. And if I need to soften that, I can soften it. Okay. Now I'm just going to pull this out a little. Too much water on my brush. Pull this out a little, and leaving some white space again. Okay, and I'm going to pull some of this off because I want my leaves to be very soft as well. And I'm just going to add in where I have blanks. I'm going to be adding in color. And just tapping up next to the flower where there would be a natural shadow next to the flower onto the leaf. Okay. Okay. Sometimes you might want your watercolor to bleed into your floral, and that makes a very pretty effect as well. Let me see if I can see a for instance here. All right, so let's wet this one. Our yellow peony up here, let's wet it. I want to soften that edge there anyways. And now I'm going to take some of my green, and I'm just going to come off of there and touch it. And it will also mix in with some of the yellow. Okay. Now I'm going to do it on this side. A little bit too much color for me on this one. So I'm going to lift that. Very good. All right. Take a little bit of my purple and dull this down a little. If you ever really want a earthy green, you can use purple or even red. to help you with that. Awesome. Okay. All right, so we're just filling up our heart with our greenery, and if we have any open spaces, then we'll go in with fillers. And let's bring some of this over here. Clean that up a little bit. Because you're dealing with water and paint, sometimes you don't always have, you don't always know exactly. And that's the fun part with watercolor. You just never really have 100% assurance of what could happen, but that's just absolutely the beauty of it. I want to put one here. All right. All right, I'm going to touch this one up a little bit. Make it just a wee bit more. First off, I'm going to start by wetting my petals. And we're just softening that up a little. Gone back in with water. And then back in with a little bit of my, let's go back in with this rose color and see what happens. And just watch it work its way up and around. Okay. And that just kind of helps give it a little bit more definition. Let's see, I'm going to take a little bit of my cobalt blue and my yellow, my cadmium yellow. Let's see if I can make it really pretty green. Well, that's a pretty green. Let's see if we can. Go back in and put some little bit of definition in some of the drier leaves now. And you can do this with pen as well. It really is kind of a new or a newer phase where you can go in with pen and ink and add some lines. You can use watercolor pencils. Add some lines. It's I think it's pretty cool myself, but and it makes a really neat illustrative kind of look. So I'm just going in and adding a few shadows and definition. Usually a flower is darker up next to it, or where the stem, two leaves meet, or where they intersect, I guess I should say. And I'll go in here. Okay. I have a few tiny little spaces I think I'm going to add some berries too. Just filling in where I need to fill in. And guys, you could fold this and then draw your heart on one half of it and make a cute little card to send to a friend. There's just so many ways to utilize something like this, but the flowers are just super easy to make, and you know, it's just not anything difficult to making them. And it's such a relaxing thing to happen. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some stems and then go back and add some berries. Let's see. There. Here. Just very fine lines. And I'm going to take some of my yellow, hopefully while these are still damp, and just dot in some little berries. Make sure that you do not get water in the ferrule of your brush. This is the ferrule here, and it can get up inside those bristles and come down when you're trying to paint and cause a little area of a puddle. right, guys.